Hello and welcome to the screencast where we are going to talk about one of my favorite programming languages, Ruby. Now, Ruby is a programming language that was designed in the 1990s by Yokohiro Matsumoto, also known as MATS in Japan. The language supports functional, object oriented, and imperative programming, amongst many other things. Now, let's go to their website to learn more about Ruby. If you go to the following website here that I have up, rubylang.org, you learn about Ruby. Now, don't go ahead and install anything yet. What I would recommend is just go through it in case you don't want to install it. There's a way of trying it out without installing it. So I am assuming you are brand new to programming, and these are the things that I wish I had known before I started programming. Just sticking with the basics and learning to just read the documentation, knowing where it is. So this is the Ruby website, and they talk to you about how to get started. You can try Ruby without installing it. For example, uh, there is Ruby Monk, another great place for beginners. They have sections for beginners, intermediate, intermediate, and advanced. Okay, so we've talked about that. So I had said don't go ahead and install anything yet. Yes, let me show you another thing. If you go to rubydoc.org, you will see where they have different, these are all different versions of Ruby. This is where you can learn about Ruby, and they give you examples, code examples that you can use to play around in your terminal or online if you're using an online program to try out Ruby. So this one here is Ruby 2.5.1. If you click on the link, it'll take you to the version. And then just click on any of these links here under file. You will notice they have files. They talk about where they have files. They talk about the class index, and they talk about let me see. That's it. So let's take for example the string. Let's say we want to learn about the string class. So we just click on the string class. They just read through it. See, it talks about how the string is an object that holds, amount, and manipulates arbitrary sequence of bytes. And then if you scroll down, you'll see they give you examples. These are examples that you can take and put into your console and try them out. So let's try this. We can try something. Let me see. So if you're on a Mac, just hit the space bar. I think it's command spacebar. So yeah, command spacebar. You get the spotlight search and type in term or iTerm. I'm typing in iTerm because I have iTerm, but you might want to just try the terminal first, in case you don't have iTerm. But if you do, go ahead and do that, or whichever terminal you use. So I'm gonna type in term. I think it's being blocked behind there. There it is, because I had minimized it. So if you type in, just say ruby-v to see if you have Ruby installed. And if you don't have Ruby installed, I'll show you how to install it. I'll point you to a website that helps you install your Ruby regardless of what machine you're using. Okay, if you have Ruby, you can just type in IRB, that enters you into Ruby. Then I'm going to minimize this and go back to these examples that we were seeing here. We were talking about strings. Then we're going to create a string that's called A. Well, let's just call it something that we use every day, like my name. Let's say my name equals okay. Then if we call the string my name, as soon as I type it correctly. There it is. Let me clear that. You can see it cleanly. There it is. Okay, so there we just created a string, but we're not getting into Ruby yet. You probably are wanting to install Ruby if you haven't installed it. So if you go to installrails.com and click on Start Now, this is how you can install Ruby on Rails, and it will have Ruby with it. The reason why I'm recommending this is because in many of my screencasts, I'm going to be using Rails to build web applications. So if you wanted to get your machine prepared for this, you don't have to, but if you wanted to, this will be one place to go to. There are many other ways to do it, but I found this one to be very easy to work with. For example, you see if you have a Mac, you select a Mac. If you have a Windows, you select a Windows. If it's Linux, maybe Ubuntu, for example, you select that. So I have a Mac. I click on Mac, and it takes me through step by step on how to install. Just click on my version. It takes me to the next step, and then hit the next step until we're done. So it helps you. It gets your machine ready for some serious web development, learning, and web development work. So if this is what you want, just go ahead and select your machine, go through the installation. You see, it's pretty straightforward. Read the instructions from 1, 2, and hit the next. 1, 2, 3, hit next. It's very straightforward. And this will get your machine ready for Ruby and Ruby on Rails. And if you want to know more about Ruby on Rails, let's go to guides.rubyonrails.org. And then this is where you can learn more about Rails. But just don't jump into this yet unless you are just curious. I would recommend, if you're brand new, just stick with the basics, which is stick with Ruby and learn more about Ruby. Then as you learn more about Ruby, you can start to use the Ruby on Rails, which is a web development stack. Very, very powerful. It's used to create many different web applications, such as Hulu, Groupon, and there are many other examples. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, send them to feedback@zambezi.app. Thank you. Goodbye.